Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am really glad to be sitting here with you today at such a special time of year to share a story, or rather a piece of extremely important information related to our health and our daily meals. It is late December 2025 now, and the holiday spirit is filling the air everywhere. I guess that right now, you might be busy in the kitchen preparing delicious dishes for a Christmas feast or a New Year family reunion dinner. On that menu, I bet many households will have shrimp. Steamed shrimp, grilled shrimp, or simply the classic shrimp cocktail appetizer. Shrimp is easy to eat and almost everyone loves it. But the story I want to tell today starts with that very familiar shrimp dish. It is a story that sounds like science fiction, but it is happening right now in December 2025. It is the story of frozen shrimp packages contaminated with radiation. Yes, you heard that right. It is radiation. Let me tell you the whole story from the beginning. On December 23rd, USA Today and many other major news outlets simultaneously reported on an urgent food recall. Everything revolves around a massive shipment of frozen shrimp being sold in supermarkets across the United States. The story begins with a company called Direct Source Seafood LLC, based in Bellevue, Washington. They had to issue a recall notice for about 83,800 bags of frozen raw shrimp. What is the reason? The United States Food and Drug Administration, or as we usually call it, the FDA, discovered that these shrimp were at risk of being contaminated with a radioactive substance called Cesium-137. Hearing the word radiation, our first reaction is probably panic. I feel the same way. I remember movies about nuclear disasters and exclusion zones, but the reality of this food story is much quieter and more invisible. So what is Cesium-137 and how did it get into the shrimp? Let me explain it in the simplest way possible. Cesium-137 is a man-made radioactive isotope. It is not naturally produced from normal soil or rocks, but is a byproduct of nuclear reactions. It comes from past nuclear weapons tests or from nuclear power plant accidents that we have known about in history. When this substance leaks into the environment, it can mix into seawater, and once in the ocean, it begins its journey, traveling through the food chain. First, tiny plankton absorb it, then small fish eat the plankton, then larger fish and crustaceans, like shrimp, eat those small fish. Shrimp are scavengers, and they gradually accumulate these substances in their bodies. This process is called bioaccumulation. This means the shrimp does not need to swim right next to a nuclear reactor to be infected. It can be infected through the water source or its food in the contaminated area. In this specific case, the recalled shrimp originated from imports from Indonesia. The producer over there is a company called PT Bahari Makmur Sejati. The FDA stated that the processing, packaging, or storage of shrimp there may have taken place under unsanitary conditions, causing the product to be exposed to this radiation. Try to imagine a shrimp from a distant sea in Southeast Asia going through so many stages of transportation and packaging into beautiful plastic bags with eye-catching images, and then lying quietly in the supermarket freezer. We go to the supermarket, we see delicious shrimp at a good price, and it is convenient, so we pick up a few packs and put them in the cart, bringing them home, eagerly waiting for a good meal. We cannot see with the naked eye that inside that white shrimp meat lies invisible radioactive atoms. What is worth mentioning here is the scale of this recall. These shrimp packages are sold under two very popular brands, Market 32 and Waterfront Bistro. If you or your relatives are living in the United States, especially in states like Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, or Virginia, then the possibility of buying this type of shrimp is very high. They're sold at major supermarket chains that people go to every day, like Price Chopper, Jewel Osco, Safeway, or Albertsons. I know you will ask, so if I eat it, will I die immediately? The answer is, fortunately, no. The FDA says the acute health risk is low. That means you will not get poisoned, vomit, or get sick immediately after eating a radioactive shrimp. It is not like salmonella or E. coli bacteria that give you a stomachache right away. Radiation is dangerous in a slow and silent way. If you are exposed to a small amount of Cesium-137 over a long period, or eat contaminated food continuously, it accumulates in the body. It is like getting a sunburn from the inside, but at the cellular level. These radioactive rays can damage the DNA of cells, and over many years it increases the risk of developing cancer. It is a hidden enemy. Colorless, odorless, tasteless, and the consequences are only seen much later. And this is not the first time in the year 2025 that we have heard this news. If you remember, back in August and September, there was also a large frozen shrimp recall at Walmart for a similar reason. This shows that this is not an isolated incident, but there seems to be a systemic problem in the supply of imported seafood from this region. It makes me, and perhaps you too, reflect more on the safety of the global food supply chain. A butterfly flapping its wings in Indonesia can bring radioactive dust all the way to a dinner table in New York or California. This story reminds me that in the modern world, convenience sometimes comes with risks we do not anticipate. We trust brands and censorship processes, but every filter has holes sometimes. So, after hearing this story, what are your feelings? A little worried, right? Me too. But worry does not solve the problem. The important thing is how we transform that anxiety into action. I do not want to tell this story to scare you so much that you dare not eat seafood anymore. Shrimp is still a delicious dish, and most shrimp on the market are still safe, but we need to become wiser and more careful consumers. Now, I will share with you the most important part: how to apply this information to your own life and your family right now. First, take action immediately. If you are living in the United States or have relatives there, stand up, go to the refrigerator and open the freezer. Check all the frozen shrimp bags you have. Do not subjectively think, surely it is not me. What do you need to look for? Look for the brand name. If you see the words Market 32 or Waterfront Bistro, be careful. Next, turn the back of the shrimp bag over, look for the UPC barcode and the place of manufacture. The affected shipments usually have the line Product of Indonesia. However, not all Indonesian shrimp are affected, but in this context, caution is paramount. Go online and type the keyword FDA Shrimp Recall December 2025 to compare the exact lot code on the packaging with the FDA Blacklist. Second, how to handle it if you find defective goods. Absolutely do not eat it, even if it is cooked thoroughly. High temperatures when cooking can kill bacteria, but cannot destroy radiation. Radiation is at the atomic level. Whether you boil it or grill it, it will still sit there. Also, do not feel wasteful and give it to your dog or cat. It would be terrible for them. The correct way to handle it is to wrap it carefully, preferably in 2 layers of plastic bags to avoid leaking melting ice wire, and then throw it in the trash. Or, if you want your money back, take it to the supermarket where you bought it and they will refund you according to the recall regulations. Do not be shy. It is your right. Third, what if you accidentally ate it? I know, maybe someone just had dinner last night. First, stay calm. Do not panic. As I said, the amount of radiation, if any, in a few shrimp is very low, not enough to cause immediate harm. The human body has a natural elimination mechanism over time. The important thing is to stop eating immediately so as not to load more into your body. If you are too worried, go to the doctor for advice, but usually the advice will be to monitor and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Fourth, a lesson about shopping habits. From now on, when going to the supermarket, I will practice the habit of reading labels more carefully. I will pay attention to where this food comes from. Maybe I will prioritize domestic seafood sources or sources with stricter safety certifications. And I will also regularly update food news. There are apps on the phone that help alert food recalls. I think we should install them to receive the earliest notifications instead of waiting until after eating to know the news in the newspaper. Finally, spread this information. You know, maybe our parents, aunts, and uncles do not often read online newspapers or have poor eyesight and cannot read the small print on the packaging. call them and remind them to check the refrigerator. A phone call from you can help them avoid a toxic meal. That is the most meaningful Christmas gift, the gift of care and health. The story of radioactive shrimp sounds distant, but it is actually very close. It lies right in the kitchen, the place that keeps the fire of love for every family. Protecting that kitchen is protecting yourself and your loved ones. I hope today's story, although a bit heavy, has brought you useful and practical information. Do not let fear overwhelm the joy of eating, but eat with understanding and alertness. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me share. I really appreciate your attention during the past few minutes. To end, I have just this one small call to action. Right after turning off this podcast, please take just 5 minutes to check your home freezer and, if possible, send this warning information to at least 3 of your closest friends. Do not let indifference harm our health. Let us create a community of clean eating, healthy living, and safety together. I wish you a peaceful holiday season, a delicious meal, and complete cleanliness. See you again in the next stories. Goodbye for now.